Welcome to The Sound, KQAL-FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Midwestern-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Midwestern artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling.
Try to find what might remain, but
Tonight on The Sound, we bring you the debut album Extend from Aura Vortex recording artist Robot Slide. The Minneapolis-based band is comprised of three brothers, Matt, Jake, and Todd, along with their good friend Liam. Aura Vortex describes their artists as sort of pop, and I think it's safe to say that Robot Slide most definitely sort of fits into this category. This guitarless quartet uses vintage keyboards, synths, and samplers to weave in and around lo-fi hip-hop and 8-bit video game music to create the unique and delightful collection of songs that make up their debut album, Extend. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and if you're still with me after that last long run-on sentence, get ready for a playful romp through Extend, the debut album from Robot Slide, tonight on The Sound.
this is what they call golden age. Bright white, cold and late. Then again, I'm not bored. I'll rest here on the ground. Doody-doo. Who will share this way? 'Cause I forget when I may wait.
That was Rabbits. That's the latest from Robot Slide. They're from Minneapolis. And tonight I have Matt Olson from Robot Slide on the phone with me. Matt, how you doing?
Doing good.
Cool.
Unwinding after a day of work, you know.
Right, of course. So the band Robot Slide, it's you and two of your brothers. So you play keys and vocals, and then there's Jake on the MPC and vocals, Todd on drums, and then your good friend Liam on bass, right?
Yep.
So Matt, I got an email from Emily Castro. She's, if people don't know, she's the co-founder of Aura Vortex, the label that is releasing this new album of yours. She's also a songwriter and the accordionist. That's a tongue twister for Sister Species, and that's how I met Emily. And she sent me your album, and I thought, oh my, yeah, I got to check this out and talk to these guys because. It sounds like you guys have a kind of a similar. You guys have something going on that's kind of similar to Sister Species as far as like unique and interesting instrumentation. You know. Yeah. So this is your first full length. It's called Extend. You know, you've released a few singles from since 2019. can you tell me a little bit about how everything came together? Like, I know it's you and your brothers. Did you guys like play music all the time growing up together, or is this a new thing? Like, how'd Robot Slide come about?
Yeah. We didn't necessarily play music together all the time growing up. We all played music kind of separately. We played video games together all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we all took piano lessons, and we were all like pretty artistic, into theater, that kind of stuff. I remember we did put on a little show when I was probably 9 years old for our grandparents. So that maybe was technically the first Robot Slide show.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I mean, after high school, we all like kind of went our own separate ways for many years. In college and grad school, and actually Jake moved to Germany and lived in Germany for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And when he came back, he like moved into the house that I was living in, and I had a practice space at the time that I was just kind of using for myself. And we just started kind of messing around with recording gear, and like started using digital audio workstations and creating new sounds. And eventually Jake picked up an MPC, which is this sampler that was used for hip hop production in the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, it still is today, used as this hardware sampler. And that kind of became like I guess kind of the cornerstone of our sound, was having all these keyboards and a sampler. But we weren't really trying to form a band at the time. We were just kind of like having fun, spending time with each other again.
Cool.
And just hanging out and doing it just for fun, for no reason.
Right. For the reason of doing it, right? And doing it together. That's really cool. I like that. I was curious when I was reading, like, what you guys each play and stuff, and I saw MPC, and I kind of scratched my head. I'm like, MPC. And I had to Google it, and then I'm like, it's got to be MIDI something, and I bet the C is controller. So I'm going to take a stab at it. Is it MIDI pad controller? Is that what that stands for?
It's also it's actually Music Production Center.
I struck out totally.
I believe.
Is that made by Akai, or is that just
Yeah, it's made by Akai, and now there's all these different, kind of copycats. I mean, basically what it is, it's just a sampler that has those square pads.
Right.
And a big part of our band is kind of like playing without kind of like click tracks or grids. We're just trying to make everything sound kind of like people in a room.
Right.
So the MPC was a great way to get all these electronic sounds that, like modern ears want to hear electronic sounds. And I like to hear electronic sounds,
right.
And sampled sounds, and this is a way to do it just more as like a live band. And Jake might as well be a guitar player or something. He's playing everything, just with his hands as a musician.
Right, totally. Oh, I love that kind of stuff. And yeah, I had to Google it, and then I found the Akai website, and I was like, "Oh, Akai!" And there's been some stuff in the past that I don't think they even make anymore that I really dug. So
yeah,
got some good. So is it like? So does that have all the sounds in it, or are you controlling other things too, or
Yeah, we just we record samples. Actually, when me and Jake were starting to kind of experiment with that, we got a field recorder too, and just walked around in the woods, or we went to Axeman in St. Paul and just recorded a bunch of weird clicks and footsteps, and that's a lot of the sounds you hear on the album are from those field recordings a long time ago. And then otherwise we just record synths into it, or whatever we have laying around the studio to try to get just different textures. I mean, there's a toy piano that's sampled on it. There are like we sampled 12 different types of train whistles for Train Song that Jake plays. Nice. There's a lot of really kind of goofy sounds on there.
Well, that's super fun. I really love that, like sampling real sounds and then using them. I think that's fantastic. Which may or may not be a good segue to this next question, but I'm curious, man. I don't know if it was from your Bandcamp page or the Aura Vortex, but I saw somewhere where you guys were listed as a frog rock quartet. What does that mean?
It's a good question. Okay, so we were introduced as a Minneapolis band, but we really consider ourselves a St. Paul band, although we have some members that live in Minneapolis now. And I don't know, St. Paul has Frogtown.
Oh, okay.
But I live on the north end. There's a lot of frogs in our yard. We live right next to a swamp.
Right.
I think it was just a kind of silly wordplay on prog rock.
Yeah,
We're trying to figure out how to describe our sound, because it is like kind of rock and roll, but it's also not really very heavy, and it's kind of mathy, but it's not really math rock. So we just thought frog rock sounded cool.
That's awesome. I love it. Do you guys have frogs sampled on the MPC too?
You know what? We don't.
Oh, you totally should.
next album.
Right. Cool. Well, I'm here talking to Matt Olson. He's from Robot Slide. Their new album, Extend, it just came out yesterday on Aura Vortex Records. So check that out. You can check it out on Bandcamp. I'm assuming just basically all streaming services. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Cool. Sounds good. Matt, the next tune that that I was going to play, I'm just kind of going down the same order as the album. The next song that I would like to play is Robots, and that's one of the first singles that were available. Can you tell us a little bit about this tune and where you draw the inspiration from for it?
Yeah, I think I wrote this at the end of a long distance relationship. That it's just kind of about the frustration of trying to stay close to somebody over, like online or just by talking on the phone, or I think that's like some of the inspiration for the lyrics. But my songs aren't, or like our songs, they're not really that topical. I think that's like, I was trying to deliver something that sounds a little bit like frustrated or burned out in a strange way, and also gave some sense of like something, or being in a distant land or something like that. But I guess when I try to like think about what the lyrics actually mean, it's pretty obtuse. But that, I mean, I guess that's the kind of the inspiration, was that experience. And that was the first song actually Rabbits and that were the first song we recorded, and my friend Mitch Stallman plays a really cool flute part on this song.
Yes. Yeah, I want to get to that too. Well, and I think, it's hard to describe your own stuff, right? Sometimes. And I think also, not only lyrically, but I think sonically, there's like a feeling that comes through, and I did read the press release, so I read about, long distance relationships. But, listening to it, it sounds like there's like a beauty in it and a frustration as well. It's kind of cool that way.
Yeah.
Well, let's play it for people, and then we'll talk about Mitch and the flute and stuff like that. This is Robots. This is from Robot Slide, and it's from their latest album, Extend. It just came out yesterday, so go check it out after you're done listening to this show, of course. This is the tune Robots. You're listening to it on The Sound right here on 89.5 KQAL.
How am I to read your poem? Like these rivets of titanium, you are stuck into my bone. Try to find what might remain, but I'm not gonna find it in a bright blue water. I don't get to try my hand and know tomorrow. if it starts to sound mechanical. I guess you lost me in the flow. And those properties untenable. And we're not gonna find them in a bright blue water. We don't need to try our
That was Robots from Extend, which is the latest album from Robot Slide. It just came out yesterday, and I have Matt Olson from Robot Slide on the phone with me. Matt, before we played that tune, you had just mentioned that a friend of yours, Mitch, had played flute on it. And I was kind of curious about that. You know, we've been talking about some of the electronic sounds and samples that you use, but you guys also utilize flute, trombone, cello, cornet. What goes into the decision of like what kind of instrumentation to use on each track? You know, like how do you decide on what kind of sounds us listeners are going to hear?
Yeah, I guess I just think about my friends and who I want to have on the track. I know Mitch recorded that right before. He lives in the Bay now, and we were just hanging out at a show right before he left, and I was like, yeah, I've kind of imagined a flute. And then he's just like, I'm down to do it. Let's do it before I leave.
Nice.
And that was kind of like the first collaborative experience I had outside of the band. And I was actually learning Ableton, and Mitch is kind of like a Ableton wizard and like showed me some pitch shifting stuff. And after I had that experience with Mitch, and I had also collaborated with another friend, Andrew Thoring, I was like, oh yeah, having people that are outside of the band come in and like give some feedback and some technical advice really helps to kind of get me out of my head and bring the songs into a different space. And so yeah, I just wanted to make it a part of the album. But yeah, like Ariana and Ben, who play on a lot of the album, like Ben Link plays trombone on a lot of the album. They're just really old close friends, especially Ben. Like I've known Ben for a long time. And you know, I mean, yeah, I'm making music with my brothers and people I've known for a long time, and it just feels, to me, that just feels really special. To involve other people that have played an important role in a very personal way in kind of my development as a musician or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, I guess some of it was, you know, just like, oh, I hear the sound and I want the sound. But it just kind of happened organically of like, yeah, I want these people on the album.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something really interesting in music. I think it's really cool when there's a special spark between the musicians. I think we hear that, you know, as listeners. It's like, there's something here. There's a magic. I can't put my finger on it, but it's, you know, and I think that's where that comes from often, is the relationships between the people playing. What about like just purely sonically, like what inspires you that way? Do you ever think, oh my God, I need a cello on this song, or I got to go sample some frogs, you know? So, I mean, is there ever like something, oh, I need this sound, you know? Is there anything that inspires you that way, or?
We improvise a lot. I mean, that's what we did. So yeah, I didn't kind of, I mean, I talked about how me and Jake started out just kind of playing. Well, that actually happened when Liam and Todd came back to town too. Liam and Todd had played in a band in college, and I had been doing some like classical music things with Liam. But yeah, we literally spent a couple years just only improvising. None of these songs, we weren't like trying to practice them or write them out. I wasn't really confident as like a lead singer at the time, and yeah, we were just trying to like have fun and do something that felt fresh. And so a lot of these sounds come out of that like just playing around and doing goofy stuff. And then it's a lot of work to make it you know, kind of like cohesive and stuff. But yeah, mostly the really cool ideas popped up really quick, and then we spent many years maybe trying to figure out how to make you know, some kind of like something that people could listen to, you know?
Right. So it sounds like it happened kind of organically, you know? I love that when those, like you said, the special moments that pop up, when you're jamming and stuff like that. That's really cool. We're going to get into some more music here for folks. I am talking to Matt Olson. He's from Robot Slide. Their latest album, Extend, just came out yesterday. And, and Matt, we should mention, you guys have a release show. It'd be tomorrow, Thursday, February 24th, right?
Yep.
And that's at the Cedar with Sister Species. So go and check that out as well. But we'll be back and talk more with Matt just a little bit after this. We're going to play the tune Bubbles for you. So here's Bubbles from Extend from Robot Slide. And you're listening to it on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL. That was Bubbles. That's off the album Extend from Robot Slide. Just came out yesterday, February 22nd. And we are talking to Matt Olson on the phone tonight from Robot Slide. Matt, so we talked a little bit about, what inspires you, stuff like that. And we got a little bit into like how you guys kind of write together. Does it all come out of like an organic kind of jam kind of thing, or do you ever like have a lyric or a melody in your head? Like how does it usually what's usually the spark, and then how do you go about it after that?
Yeah. Most of the songs on this album came out of some sort of improvisation. Actually, the one song that I really would think of that didn't, I guess the two are, would be Bubbles and the last track, Easy Breeze. I really wrote those out as like songs on a keyboard.
Okay.
And, wrote lyrics out. But the rest of the songs kind of just came out of like, yeah, either me and Jake being in a space, like when we were starting to kind of experiment, just coming, yeah, it came out of improvisations, and then we just tried to figure out how to, yeah, turn it into like a digestible 3 to 5 minute piece of music.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens in a lot of different ways, but yeah, it's very collaborative. I'm like really bad at um, writing a lot of songs and presenting them to the band and being like, hey, I want to do this song. I'm trying to get better at it,
Right.
but it really helps me to feel like comfortable working on something together if it kind of came from
Right.
a few different directions, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Well, and I think there's more. It's almost like there's more of each individual in the song, you know, each player and things like that. I want to talk a little bit about, like, the next tune we're going to play is La Goose. And that's another single that has been out. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came together? Like, you know, what was that process like? Like, were you jamming and like a piece of that just came to you, or like stuck out, or what?
Yeah, that came out of an experiment where, and I won't try not to get too technical about this, but I
Uh-huh.
basically like made a grid of intervals on the MPC and gave them to Jake and like created all these kind of Tetris shapes. Like, here, you can play these 4 blocks for this
Uh-huh.
chord and these 4 blocks for this chord. Um, and I was just trying to see if that kind of thing would work, because it's kind of hard to like create chords on an MPC. You know, you either just play one chord or um, one note. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, we did this kind of like weird Tetris block experiment and came up with that riff. Um, and then yeah, turned it into a song that uh, by the record version had, you know, strings and trombone and
Mm-hmm.
had all these different dimensions. It has the video game music at the end and the big kind of like cello
Yeah.
ambient thing at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I don't. It's really hard to say like how that all came about. It was just kind of slowly built. I mean, we really recorded this album over like 4 years. I would say I presented demos to like Todd and Liam
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a really long process, and then we ended up like kind of taking a year and a half off to build a studio in my yard.
Oh, cool.
So that was like another band activity, was building a studio by hand.
Oh, fun.
And um you know, and figuring out all the recording like yeah, I just didn't know anything before I started this.
Right? Yeah.
So I think, yeah, the reason there's just so many different kind of like sounds and zones is that we just honestly had these songs for way too long, you know, and we just got bored with them, so we just kept doing weird things with them.
Right. You get to play around with it a lot. Well, and it's really cool. Like, you mentioned all the different instruments that you have going on in that tune. And then there's also like samples at the end of home movies, right?
Yeah.
Are there like younger versions of yourselves on those samples? Like,
Yep. Yeah, you can hear me and Jake laughing as like, yeah, little babies,
oh,
and
cool.
Todd and my grandparents. And yeah, I just wanted, I don't know, I felt like it would be cool to have that video game music kind of with some sort of room sound.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, broke out the old VHSs. It's really fun.
Awesome. Really cool. Really, very creative stuff. I love it. Well, let's play the tune for people. This is Lagoose. I'm talking to Matt Olson from Robot Slide. Their latest album, Extend, just came out yesterday, February 22nd. So here's another track off it. This is Lagoose, and you're listening to it on The Sound right here on 89.5 KQAL. That was Lagoose from the album Extend. It's the latest from Robot Slide. And I have Matt Olson from Robot Slide on the phone with us tonight. Matt, so we got into a little bit about, we talked about inspiration. We talked about writing and stuff like that. And then you mentioned that you built a studio in your backyard. And I was going to ask, like, how are you recording all this stuff? Do you record it, go to a studio or at home, or is it all in the studio that you built, or was that halfway?
Yeah, we just record it all at home, basically.
Cool.
It's in my garage.
Cool.
And yeah, the first two songs we recorded were Rabbits and Robots, and we just did that in a practice space that was above a masonry building.
Okay.
And but eventually it kind of became the place where you couldn't really spend too much time. It was very filled with cigarette smoke all the time from other bands, and it was really loud. And it became really apparent that it was very hard to actually like work on an album. It was a great place to practice and jam or whatever. And so I looked around for commercial spaces that would be like suitable for recording, because my house is really small. And there's just like literally no place to put instruments. But yeah, eventually I just figured it would be cheaper to take out a loan and like rehab my garage into a kind of studio space. And cool. Yeah, we don't have anything too fancy in there, but it definitely is it's like a really nice space, and it's dedicated to music. You don't have to like set everything up every time you want to go record. You just walk in there and there are synths laying out and keyboards, and it's a really bright kind of like, it's a very creative space. And so it was awesome to kind of like create some sort of little nest to really teach myself this stuff. Or I had people helping me, especially in the kind of like mixing, recording end of things, but a lot of it is just like figuring out over time, like how do you do this, because we couldn't like justify spending $500 a day to go into a studio, and we had no idea like what we really wanted to do,
Right. I like that you used the word nest, I believe, because that sounds really neat, like building your own space that you can use as a creative space and record and do all your stuff. Because you can kind of tailor it, right, to like the feeling you want to have when you want to be in that zone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's really cool. So your brothers and Liam, the whole band, like helped out in building this space? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I live with my brother Todd still. So he was kind of stuck having to help me a lot because he lived here. And Liam and Jake would stop by. Liam is great at cutting insulation. If you ever need someone to cut insulation for you.
Awesome.
But yeah, again, it was kind of like learning recording stuff. Like I had never built a structure like that. I'd never built a kind of an acoustic space. I'd done like some carpentry as summer jobs and stuff, but it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we can do this.
Right.
We just got to like put in the time. And so yeah, it took a long time. It took like a year and a half. It was a lot of research, a lot of reading, but it turned out awesome, and now I feel just extremely grateful to have that space, and I really want to open it up to more community. It's been hard because I kind of finished it right before the pandemic, but
right.
The goal is to share it with people eventually.
Awesome.
Figure that out.
Awesome. Well, hopefully someday we can get to that stage,
Right.
That would be fantastic. I want to talk, so the next tune we have is the train song. And I noticed on Bandcamp it says featuring Ringo Starr.
Yeah, we're not going to put that on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Because we don't want to get sued, because Ringo Starr did not agree to be on that song.
Right. Because I was thinking, I saw that, and then I'm listening to the tune, and I'm trying to figure out, and you don't have to answer this. I'm trying to figure out like where he is, But I know that
he's reading the Tank Engine
okay,
story at the end,
okay,
which we bleeped out and time stretched. I think it's actually officially parody,
so
and
it's
so
probably
I think it's legal.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously we wouldn't put that for any sort of like real monetary gain.
Right. Yeah.
We also joke that if we did get sued, it would just be good publicity.
Publicity, right? Yeah, for sure.
Because we are, yeah, we are not we have not been very good at promoting ourselves. Well, I mean, I guess we just haven't like invested ourselves in that. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Robot Slide is going to get too much attention from the kind of people that would want to sue us.
Right. Well, and it's kind of interesting too because that tune in particular has like a very to me anyway, like a childlike quality to it and real playful,
Yeah.
Which kind of reminded me of like Octopus's Garden, and I'm like, okay, that's
Absolutely.
super fitting. And then the train thing with, I know he's narrated, Thomas and Friends, and he had another train show or something like that. But, so I thought that was kind of cool,
Yeah. It's just a cartoon, that whole song is just like watching, whatever, the Saturday morning cartoons. I just imagine a kid like, how kids just sit like directly in front of the TV cross-legged.
Right.
And their parents are like running around trying to, get everything together in the house. I don't know. It's just like really chaotic. That's kind of the vibe of that song.
Let's go ahead and play the song for people, and then we'll talk a little more about it. I'm here with Matt Olson from Robot Slide tonight, and we're talking about their new album, Extend, which just came out yesterday, February 22nd. And here's a tune off of it called Train Song, right here on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
Don't mind me, I'm just passing through. Don't mind me, I'm just passing through. Don't mind me, I'm just passing through. Don't mind me, I'm just passing on my train of thought, my prison. 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 Don't mind me, I'm just passing through. Don't mind me, I'm just passing through. Don't mind me, I'm just passing through.
That was Train Song from Robot Slide from Minneapolis. That's on their new album, Extend, which just came out yesterday, February 22nd. And I have Matt Olson from Robot Slide with me on the phone tonight. So, Matt, I kind of noticed something happening here on the album. There were tunes earlier in the album, when I'm listening through it, like I think in particular Bubbles. I know that stood out to me. Reminded me a little bit of the Beach Boys, or like maybe some of the later Beatles stuff. Um, are artists like that, were they much of an influence on you, as you're getting into music and stuff?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I have this theory that, all like modern rock bands are really just trying to be the Beatles, but a lot of people would disagree with me about that. But
You can
growing
definitely
up,
argue that though, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, growing up, that was like our first exposure to that.
Hmm.
You know, yeah, me and Jake and Todd all, we're like a year apart, and I remember, yeah, that like the Beatles number one hits CD being very influential to us as kids. Or like we really like that CD.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think the Beach Boys reference, there's a lot of like vocal harmonization
Hmm.
that's kind of like lush, and then there's this kind of, Pet Sounds in a way is, or not in a way. I mean, it uses all this kind of like sampled material and
Hmm.
orchestral arrangements. So I think that is really like influential to us. Um, yeah, and it's funny thinking about. I mean, that's like we don't need to talk about the Beatles or whatever, but there's like this new documentary came out recently, and
Oh,
we
right.
did all watch it and kind of like think about it. It's just like it's maybe sometimes nice to forget about the Beatles, and then you're like, wow, that was actually, you know,
That was actually
just
pretty
just
amazing.
like
Right.
yeah, it's like we want to play music together, like
Hmm.
we want to play music looking at each other and just like playing live. That's
Right.
kind of like our goal. And yeah, just watching those dudes goof around in the studio is kind of a fun thing to do recently. I don't know.
Right, right. Well, that's kind of the beauty of a band, right? Is like there's that communication between each instrument, each player, and I think that's where the magic happens, is where they intersect, where, whether it's drums or an MPC or bass or whatever it is, or a vocal, I think it's that interaction, which makes it super cool that, three of you guys grew up together as brothers, and then I don't know
Yeah.
when you guys met Liam,
Yeah. I mean, Todd met Liam when, he was 18 or 19, they
Oh, cool. So,
freshman or sophomore in college.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think that's fascinating. Like, and I think that's the best part of music is, well, because then it also, there's an interaction with the audience, when you're playing live. Um,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Which we should mention again. I'm talking to Matt Olson of Robot Slide, and they have their CD release party, or okay, I should say album release party. Oh my God, I just dated myself. Um, they have their album release party at the Cedar tomorrow night, Thursday, February 24th. They're going to be with Sister Species. The album is called Extend, so you can pretty much get it everywhere. It sounds like, right? Do you guys have physical copies as well?
Yeah, we made some CDs,
Okay, cool. Well, then I was
some
right.
tapes, some yeah, CDs, tapes. Yeah, didn't go for the vinyl, but
Right, right. Yeah, vinyl's a
we
little.
got a budget.
Exactly. It's a little spendy. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. So you guys are doing cassette tapes also?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. That's so fun. I love that stuff.
Right.
Where can people, I'm assuming they can get them at the show tomorrow. Is there a place they can find and order them online as well?
Yeah, Bandcamp is that's the best way.
Okay.
I'll send one to you. Um, and then I don't know. We're planning on kind of running around some local record stores and seeing if they'll put a couple CDs up. But yeah, Bandcamp is a great way to support artists. It's probably the
Yeah.
best way
Yeah, definitely.
right now. And also feel free to stream our stuff. I don't know. I just like want it to be heard.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be too much of a business entity, but
Right. Right. What about future show dates and releases, merch, stuff like that? Bandcamp, or is there another avenue? Do you guys have a website?
yeah, right. We have bought a website, robotslide.fun, but it's not up yet.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, just look at Bandcamp. Our Facebook, was hacked recently, but it should be taken care of soon enough. We have an Instagram. We have kind of the social media things.
All the stuff, right?
Yeah. So Instagram's a good way. We always put whatever we're doing on Instagram, so you can be a part of it if you want to.
Follow all the action there, right?
yeah, for sure.
So Matt, what's next for Robot Slide? You know, you guys got the album's out now. You have a album release party tomorrow night. What's next? Any plans for more shows or working on a new album? Anything like that? Or?
Yeah, it's a good question. Definitely working. You know, we've been working on new songs for a while, but kind of slowly. We kind of recommitted to learning the album once we had this release set up.
Right.
And I think we're trying to do some more kind of improvisational stuff in front of audiences, which was something right before the pandemic hit. We had scheduled a show or like booked a show with some other improvising musicians around the cities, and we were just going to kind of like hop on stage and see what we could do.
Ooh.
And kind of get back to our kind of like that early practice space vibe of just like seeing what pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And that show probably would have been a disaster, but it was going to be really exciting. And this summer we did some backyard shows where we tried, like playing a 10-minute, mostly improvised piece that had, some loose compositional ideas or whatever.
Cool.
So that's what sounds really exciting to me. And then, working on some new songs, and hopefully, it's just a weird time to be thinking about shows and like what you want to do and how you want to move forward, because
we don't know,
it's
right?
it's just really hard, and like there are a lot of venues have closed in the past 2 years, and so I think the landscape is it's different, and so it's hard to see what's ahead.
Yeah hard to make solid plans too. Right.
But
hey, if we can catch you guys at a backyard show, that would be fantastic. That 10-minute jams thing sounds pretty cool, because that sounds like where some new tunes might come out of, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, I've been here talking to Matt Olson. He's from Robot Slide. They're out of, St. Paul or the area. Frog rock band. Their new album, Extend, just came out yesterday, February 22nd. And Matt, thanks so much for talking to us. I'm going to play one more track, but I really appreciate it. Super fun stuff you got going on here. I hope everyone checks it out. So,
yeah, thanks so much, Bill.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And hopefully, if things continue to open up and stuff like that, maybe we'll see you guys down this way. We're down in Winona, Minnesota.
Yeah, we would love that. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Very cool. All right. Well, we're going to go out with the last track on the album here. It's called Easy Breeze. So go check out Robot Slide. Get to their Bandcamp. They are on Aura Vortex Records. So go check out all their stuff. It's really fun stuff, really innovative and neat. Cool stuff. Brain candy, I like to call it. So here it is. This is Easy Breeze from Robot Slide. Matt, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Easy as this breeze is blown, we keep tearing ourselves up. No one's here to put us down. It doesn't make me feel any safer. It may not be the sharpest knife. Sometimes I lose all my centers, but doggedly my doggies find them. It doesn't make you feel any safer.
Thanks again to Matt Olson of Robot Slide for joining us tonight on The Sound. To hear more from Robot Slide, check them out on Bandcamp or your favorite streaming service. To hear more from Aura Vortex Records, go to auravortex.com. For more deep dives into local and regional albums, tune into The Sound every Wednesday night at 6 right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just heard from Robot Slide on The Sound. Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at kqal.org. Theme music for The Sound provided by Mike Terrell of Fires of Denmark.